Welcome to the Landscaping Podcast. My name is Joel Barnett and I'm your host. And in today's episode, I'm talking with Ben French from Yards Landscapes. Ben runs what was originally just a design and construction company, but then he's added maintenance, and now maintenance is the majority of the work they do while still doing design and construction, and based up in Brisbane. And I like the process he took to start out in the industry. So he was working at a landscape supply yard, filling bags of soil and sand while they're still working at school. And then when he got into the industry more full time, he tried a lot of different things within the landscaping industry to work out what he liked, and then chose what he enjoyed doing the most. And he makes a great point in this episode where he speaks about mentors and how a lot of the clients that he works for are like a mentor for it, because they've obviously been successful at what they've done in their business, and even though it may not be the same as what he's working in, there's still something that can be learned from them in how to be successful. And Ben and a few of his team were down in Melbourne recently for the Melbourne International Flower and Garden Show, helping build Peter Donegan's garden. So I talked to you about what that experience was like. I really enjoyed this chat with Ben, so hopefully you do too. So here is Ben French. Ben, thank you for joining us on the Landscaping Podcast. My first question for you is, how did you start in the industry?
Yeah, thanks, Joel. Thanks for having me on, and good to see you again. I started off in the industry, probably if you take a step back, I used to follow my grandfather around the garden, and he was a refrigeration mechanic, but he could do anything, he built a brick barbecue, he paved all around the pool, constructed everything in the garden, and it was just a really nice place to be. So I'd find myself following him around, and skip forward to the end of school. I had to look for a job, and while I was in my senior high school years, I approached a landscape supply company. I used to walk there after work, up past there on the way home from work, and they rejected me and said, "No, you're too young." And so I tried again. I said, "Look, I'll do anything." And those little bags of sand and dirt that you buy from the landscape suppliers, I was filling them up at 30 cents a piece, I think. So had to try and find efficient ways of doing things. And then I found that if I could operate the front end loader and the forklift, then I could get through a few more bags in the afternoon. And I guess that's how it started. And then I'd take on other jobs there, and I got to meet landscapers coming in and see familiar faces. And I ended up taking on a job with one of the landscapers that came through there as a customer. Worked for Tony Earl. This is in Sydney, and we'd build kids' playgrounds and some residential work. And that was sort of my step into the industry. I didn't do an apprenticeship as such. I did put myself through the TAFE trade course in landscaping and horticulture, but then probably a bit too young and realised that I wanted to try other things. And when I worked for a company in the eastern suburbs of Sydney, and we worked on some amazing projects, but probably a little bit different to what we'd done previously. I found there wasn't as much learning or mentoring there. So yeah, I kept trying until I found what I really enjoyed doing. I worked with a mate from high school. He started up a landscaping company, had some great support around him, and he's done very well. He's in the commercial and civil sector, but I found that wasn't probably the avenue I was enjoying. So I worked in a nursery for a little bit, retail nursery, and really enjoyed that, dealing with customers and problem solving with them. And after doing a trip around Australia, I started Yards, and we've only ever grown very slowly, and we've sort of had ebbs and flows. But I found that when I started, I didn't want to be the biggest, but I wanted to have a good reputation and do good quality work. So it was always design and construct for me. And I settled in Brisbane, left Sydney, and met my wife, and followed her up to Queensland, and we continued Yards to build and keep growing. And you as you know, with the landscape, you can be up and down with work. You could be busy for a month and then quiet for a couple of weeks, and especially in those early days. But more and more projects that we'd build, we'd get asked to maintain them. And when I first started out, if you had have said that we'd be predominantly gardening and garden maintenance, I probably would have laughed in the first part of our journey. but it just grew, and now we've sort of flipped it. So we're predominantly maintenance now, and a little bit of design and a little bit of installation.
So you started out in Sydney. Did you foot with yards, and how long ago was that?
We're coming up for 20 years.
Oh.
So yeah, it's just flown.
So that, in saying that, if you've been in the industry that long, when you were filling those bags at the landscape supply yard, were they 40-kilo bags you were filling?
Yeah, I still remember carrying, a 40 kilo on this shoulder and a 40 kilo on this shoulder with this, the sand or the cement or whatever it was. And yeah, I thought, these 20 kilo bags will never take off, bringing them in. But yeah, it was just when you look back at it and you sort of see that journey, and just been having to think about it the last few days as to where we did start and where we've come to. It's been a long ride.
Yeah, when I first started, they were phasing out the 40-kilo bags, but there was some, like half of the landscape supply yard still had them. And yeah, I used to look at them and freak out, thinking, how am I going to pick that up?
Yeah, yeah, I struggle to do it now.
Yeah, no, now you just grab two 20-kilo bags instead.
Yeah.
With those two first companies that you worked for, the two landscaping companies, and you said one was better for learning than the second one, was the size of the company any different? Like, was one smaller and one bigger, or?
Yeah, the first company I worked with, I think at the time I worked with them, there might have been 7 people. But there were so many things that resonate with me now that I probably didn't appreciate back then. But, just things like looking after your tools. And, I remember one day Tony said, I got that saw for my 21st birthday, and it's still going because we look after it. And obviously with our tool collection now, I'm the same as well. But so there was probably a bit more learning in that first company. And I actually reached out to him a couple of years ago just to say thanks, for giving me that opportunity. And it was really nice to be able to share our journey with him, because we sort of parted ways, and yeah, I hadn't spoken to him for many years. So yeah, it was good to catch up.
Yeah, just yesterday I used a narrow barrow that I got for my 21st birthday as well. When my parents gave it to me, I thought I had never seen one before. I thought, what's the point in having this like 3/4 of a size wheelbarrow? What's that going to be used for? And never used it for a while, and then now I've got 3 different size ones, like 3 different narrow ones.
Yep. And look, our journey over the years, we've, like I say, we did design and construct, but there were times there where, it was ebbs and flows, and I even took a year off. We sort of scaled right back, and I thought, well, maybe I'll try excavation. I did a bit of excavation work for a year, and just to have a break and recalibrate. And that was a really good opportunity as well. Around the time my daughter was born, she's almost 16. So now I'm trying to help her focus on, what she wants to focus on when she finishes school. And, it's been good running the business to have that insight as to, what people want.
Yeah. Again, it's crazy how often when I'm talking to someone, there's such a similar story to what I'm going through. Like, I was just talking to my daughter last night about what she wants to do. She's only 13, but yeah, I was talking to her about she could do an interior design course or whatever she's looking to get into. So yeah, but yeah, it's crazy how parallel some things are.
Yeah,
and also I had time off at the bank, so I started the business and then worked at the bank and then got back into it again. So I had time off as well and had a refresh. And I reckon that could be like, a lot of people will struggle, like get a bit fatigued going through business, and that could be. It sounds extreme, but it's not too bad an idea. Just to step out for a little while, and then either refine the love or find something else.
Well, I guess I had so much passion in it, and I guess what we have is, I get so much enjoyment out of seeing people use their gardens and use them to their fullest. And we were building gardens for people and putting every bit of energy into it, physically and mentally. And then you go back, you get a call back 2 years later, and you go back and it hasn't been looked after. The fertilizer that you gave them still in the plastic packaging. So yeah, being able to do the maintenance now has been it's very rewarding. Even this morning, I had a phone call from one of my guys, and he said, I bumped into the client this morning. She's just so happy about the elderflowers coming out. We bought them And they turned up in the mail only this big, and now they're, almost 1.5 meters tall and flowering. And, just those little things that, little comments, and just to see the joy that people get out of their gardens, I find is the most rewarding. And because we're there constantly, week in, week out on some of these projects, most of the projects, we have a really good relationship with our clients and a lot of trust there as well.
Yep. Yeah, I was just at a project that we did 3.5 years ago, and I just posted some photos of it on my Instagram because it's looking amazing. Like, it's certainly, I didn't post the photos of the sections that aren't looking amazing, so it's not everywhere is looking like that, but the bits that do look phenomenal.
Yeah, I saw that. What a transformation. We had a similar one last week where we're having a bit of banter with this client over the emails, and took a snapshot of, we're talking about how important time is in gardens. And while it's great to put in mature species, it's also great to put in small stuff and watch it grow. And then she sent me this photo of the garden of when we first started looking after it. And wow, what a difference the last 8 years has made.
Mm. And do you find it's good for advertising as well, because you're there as the project develops into something of what it's supposed to look like?
Yeah. So we used to do a lot of advertising to get work. There was nothing worse than having to let people go because things were a little bit quiet. But now we're in a situation where we don't have enough staff. Like, there's 15 of us. We haven't had to advertise for quite some time. We've got 19 or 20 on a wait list for maintenance services. So yeah, there's it's great not being able to be a bit more selective with our client base now. And back in the early days, whether it was filling up sand bags, you just do whatever it takes, or excavating a trench, or any little job that popped up, you put your hand up for. But now we've got this closed group of clients, and our landscapers go from client to client, building a new pathway or lighting or irrigation, whatever the case is. But yeah, our maintenance crews are very specialised in what they do with these residential jobs.
So how's the breakdown work of the 15 in terms of design, construction and maintenance and anything else?
Yeah, so I've got myself and my wife, Penny. She was working with the AFL and the Brisbane Lions there for 20 years, right up to COVID, actually. And then, so I was running everything up until then. And then we thought, well, we can do it. She jumps in the office and has helped take a big load away from what I was doing. And then I've also got a landscape architect who joins me in the office. He's also hands-on as well on site. He's very flexible and can go and help out. And then I've got 2 greenkeepers. I could do with another greenkeeper. I've got 2 landscapers, and then the rest are horticulturists looking after gardens. They're all project leaders with their own designated gardens. And we've also got a young trainee as well, school-based trainee. Over the years, you have people come and go, and most of our staff are, average age is about 38, 39. But you sort of get hesitant putting young people on if you have a bad experience. But it's so refreshing. We've got young Angus, and he's just fits in perfectly. It doesn't matter whether he's with the landscaping team or the maintenance team or the greenkeepers. We're trying to give him the experience and exposure to do, so he can do just about anything. So yeah, it's one of those things we want to see the best for him, so he chooses the right path, and probably a bit more mentoring for him. I also listened to I think you interviewed Martin Semkin, and just how he involves himself with the apprentices and the apprentices' families. So we've taken that approach with him as well. And yeah, it's more engagement.
So does he go to school still and just
still at school?
2 days a week?
Yeah, 1 day a week with us, and he does blocks of training at TAFE. Yeah, but he loved it. Last week he was with our landscaper Amanda, which you may have met in Melbourne.
Yep.
And yeah, he just, his mum rang me and said, "Oh, whatever he's done today, he's just loved it. All he's been talking about was mixing concrete and perfecting the ratios, and you go back to when you first started as well. And you go, oh yeah, that would have been a great day when you learned how to make the perfect mix in the mixer." Or yeah,
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
I still, still get it wrong every now and then. Like I won't mix for a while, then I'll do one and think, oh wow, I'm real bad at this. He's
Yeah.
got to get out of
I,
touch.
I did hear about your monster cement mixer.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Peter Donegan loves talking about that.
Yes. Yeah.
Because some of us have to work instead of just swanning around the world doing
Yeah.
various events.
That's right. Uh,
So with the design, did you do any of the design yourself, or were you in the early days, or you just brought that on when you employed a landscape architect?
no, I put myself through the design course at TAFE as well, and then studied more at that design level when I came to Brisbane, because I started in Sydney, didn't finish it in Sydney, moved to Brisbane, and continued with it there. And I just kept designing, smaller gardens and bigger gardens, and it was back in the day when it was all hand drawn. Even still now, my designs are hand drawn, and I've got young George who can whip it up on the computer, turn my squiggles into masterpieces. So yeah, it's a great relationship we have working together. But yeah, the designs probably, again, I said that I sort of went through a phase maybe 10 years or so ago, and questioning whether it was right for me. I wish I had have kept all those designs. I had a big stack of them, and let them all go. Yeah, we recalibrated, and yeah, it's one of those things that I love to design. I love to sit down with the clients and work through all those problems that they've had with their site, even if it's just a garden restoration. Just those basic restorations right through to complete design work.
Yeah, like the restorations are good because you've got advanced plants there you're working with most of the time, so you're getting an instant impact.
Yeah, and a lot of our gardens are very plant focused. You know, we've sort of steered away from doing too much construction. A lot of the time, it's done by the builder before we start. So it is a lot of softscape, but there's elements of stonework that we put in there as well, and a bit of timber work as well.
And with the construction, because you've only got the two construction guys, are you getting other people to build a lot of the designs that you do?
We only design for ourselves. We don't do design work for other people. It's just for us in house.
All right.
We have done a few where we've designed and the homeowner has taken it on, and sometimes to get us back to help them finish it, because it can be a bit overwhelming. But generally we don't just provide the design services, design and construct.
And you're not not building anyone else's designs either, like the construction crew?
No, we have, over the years we've had some designs come through, but just due to our workload, yeah, we just couldn't take on any other outside work. I mean, we get inquiries every single day, and we have to turn down a lot of work, which is a shame, because there are some beautiful projects that we get asked to build, but we just don't have enough hours in the day or days in the week to cover it. So
have you got yourself in any strife by saying yes to clients when you should have said no?
years ago, yeah, not
Yeah.
we're a bit different these days. We know where our limits are, and but yeah, it's easy to overcommit, and you don't want to. Some jobs you don't want to let go, but we've got our priorities, with our existing clients. So all of our maintenance clients, that's number one priority. To make sure that if they need something done, that our landscapers are there to jump in and sort it. And some people are very patient and they wait. There's been times where you get held up on jobs, especially when you're a smaller crew. And a 4-week project turns into an 8-week project, and because they want to add more and more. So then that delays your next job. So yeah, it's difficult when you've got to have that conversation with a client that you've been held up. But we always get there. We've got this far. So.
And do you ever have the maintenance and construction crew switching over?
Yes. So just recently, our landscapers, flexibility is the key to any business, and our landscapers just whatever needs to happen, they'll be there to help whether it's the greenkeepers or especially when we do our lawn renovations in springtime. It's an all hands on deck. My wife Penny, she gets out, she pulls on the boots, jumps in the truck. She'll go and deliver materials to the guys. it's all hands on deck. George, our landscape architect, everyone's in, and we try and make it as efficient as possible.
And what's the reason for the greenkeepers? Have you got like commercial projects that they just go to, or do they do all the lawns on all your maintenance?
They just look after our lawns. I mean, they are flexible as well, and will jump in and help the maintenance guys if needed. But predominantly, their primary role is making sure that those clients have the best lawn in the street. And the clients that we have are, you could say they're not fussy, but they like good quality everything. So we're there to deliver and do whatever it takes to help them out.
Is there any real mowing going on?
Any what?
Like a cylinder mower?
Cylinder mowers, yeah. So we have a few projects that are cylinder mowing. Obviously, they're a lot more maintenance and a lot more work. The lower the cut. So we've got some jobs where the guys are there twice a week perfecting those lawns. We changed over a few years ago to some battery operated gear, and we're getting some great results off just a normal rotary battery mowers. Lighter, turns better, drives better than the big heavy equipment. So yeah, we're happy that we've almost at that 100% mark of getting everything over from petrol to battery.
What brands are you using?
We've used Palank. We've used Husqvarna. They're probably the two. Yeah, Palank and Husqvarna.
So they got massive batteries on them?
Oh, yeah. So the Palank mower, in wintertime, they'll get a whole week off that mower, off that battery. In summer, they're just charging it midweek. So, and a lot of them have got quick charge on them. And, it blew my mind. The guys from Palank came out and gave us some demo gear. They said, just try it. I think we had it for about a month. So it was really intense trial, hedge trimmers, blowers, line trimmers, mowers. And, we went down the mower path and some of the hedge trimmers. But we've also found with the range in the Husqvarna gear to be really good too. And we get a lot of comments from clients saying, thank you so much for changing over, especially with the blower, and the blower's tearing down the side of the house at the end of the day, and clients are trying to work, or, the neighbours. So just being a bit more mindful as to how noisy we are around people's homes. It has helped a lot.
So what sort did you mentioned that you originally were design and construction. So what size construction crew did you have back when it was at its biggest before you started doing maintenance?
Oh, there's probably only 5 of us.
Yeah.
So we only ever had, probably only 4. It was only ever one crew. But yeah, there were some pretty nice properties that we were working on and building. And that was with that. We had another landscaper. We had a landscaper who was with us for 10 years. He'd come and go here and there, but his eye for detail is great. And when we look at our business over the last 19 years, we take these little snapshots, all the way, and we've had some great people along the way, and we've got an awesome team now. They, very specialised in what they do, very committed, flexible. I think you met some of them at MIFGS. Just good people to be around. So yeah, I'm very lucky.
Yeah, it makes a massive difference. Like every business owner talks about how important employees are, whether things are going well or bad. A lot of it can come down to how good your staff are. So when you've got some good ones, it's good to hold on to them.
There's a lot of they have a lot of input as to they're managing their own projects. So we'll have a regular catch up, and they're always. I'm always happy to hear their feedback and see if there's ways of improving things. I still remember years ago we had a guy come to us because we were doing everything via paper and paper diaries, and he suggested this app for keeping track of records, and it just makes things. We're still using it today, and we've looked at upgrading and changing to doing different processes, but we've found the more we look at it, the systems that we've created work really well for us at the size that we are. So
what is it that you use?
We use the Harvest app for all of our time and expenses, and we can send invoices straight away, and everything that they upload, everything's all in real time. It's makes things so much easier. We use Google calendar for our scheduling, Google Drive for all of our documentation, sharing all the files. So, between those apps, it's we've got everything. It's on our phone, our iPad, or in the office here. It makes it really streamlined.
Is there any way any of those apps that you can communicate with the customers with automated messages or anything like that?
No, like Service Mate, is it?
Yeah, similar to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, no, we don't. I mean, we can share, our Google meetings and from the Google Calendar with the meetings, but no, we don't feel that we need to. We're there almost on the same day and the same time every week, so they notice if we're half an hour out of sync. We try to keep things simple, and we find that works really well for us.
Yep. And I was having a quick flick on your website, looking at some of the awards you've won, and it was a couple of years ago now in 2021, 2022. I don't know if this is why you mentioned Husqvarna or use their product, but you were the Australian Landscaper of the Year and the Champion of Champions.
Yeah, the inaugural competition there was for a project that we designed and built, and I was blown away that we won that. There's some beautiful gardens up in that same category. And,
so that was basically anyone who won their state competition, like won an award for a state. They all went into a pool, and they got voted on from that as the champion of champions, and you were the winner.
Yeah. No, we got there's two awards up there. They're up there. There they are, right there. Yeah. But yeah, they sponsored that award, which was great. But no, look, there's no free prizes or anything like that. We've had to purchase all of our equipment. But yeah, we'd like to give things a try and try and find tools that the guys enjoy using as well. So I still remember back one of the companies I worked with many years ago. I think his budget was about $2,000 for a vehicle. Go to the auctions and be lucky if it started in the morning. Tools were whatever was left over, probably from a garage sale. Whereas we provide top quality gear and all the uniforms to the guys, and we wanted to create a place where people enjoyed coming to work and being their best, doing their best. That's something. I worked on some amazing properties, but I don't think I was afforded the time on some of them to keep them to where they needed to be. So yeah, we really push hard for our guys to have enough time on jobs so that the garden doesn't get away from them, and that they're being able to perfect their craft. Yeah,
having a sharp blade is one of the more underrated things. And you don't realize how good it is until you haven't had one for a while, and then you get a sharp blade.
Yes. I saw your post about the hand saws the other day, and I could relate to that one as well.
Yeah, people telling me I should sharpen it. So it costs $12 to buy a new one. I don't have the time to sharpen
it. Yeah.
And you mentioned MIFGS a couple of times. So you came down with some of your team to the garden show this year to help out Peter Donegan to build his garden this year. And you met him at the AIH conference the year before. Was that right?
Yeah. So I decided, it'd been a few years since AIH was the first industry association group that I joined when we first started all those years ago, and regularly would participate in the events, but restrictions with kids and the business, you can't get to all of them. But last year I decided, no, it's in Cairns, give it a red hot go, and I listened to a couple of podcasts on my way up, because I only just started getting into podcasts last year, and I heard Peter Donegan talk on your podcast, and I thought, gee, wouldn't it be great if I could get 5 minutes of this guy's time to, what he does. These show gardens sound fantastic. Anyway, I think the first night I was out for dinner, and then a group of the guys from AIH came by. Peter was with them. We sat down. We had a bite to eat, maybe a drink or two, and he started showing me his, what he was doing, with the project, and then we listened to his talk, his talk at the event, and then each night, we'd catch up, and sitting there with him, and he said, "Well, would you be interested in being part of it?" So we said yes, and he introduced us to Martin Stemkin. Martin was all good with it, and so I chose a handful of my team. I couldn't bring them all down, but it got to the point where George, our landscape architect, on the like just before judging, I could not drag him away. We were all spent at the end of the day, and I could not drag him away from the thing. He just wanted to keep perfecting, all the little bits and pieces. With he laid a fair bit of the grass and the planting and mulching, and that was just really good to see that they all were invested into it. Peter shared that story with our team and got us very interested in, and it was great to go back and stand back at the waterfall there when the show had opened and just seeing how people were drawn to it and the interactions. It was a very moving story, and I'm very grateful that we were part of that. Not just from Peter, but from Martin Sempkin as well. He's got an awesome team, and just to see how they work in a show garden, not building one garden, but 3 gardens and whatever else needs doing to help anybody else out. It was just a great experience.
Did anyone have any experience being at the show before? Like not so much building one, but just having been there?
I went down quite a few years ago. I drove down and spent the day there. I may have even spent 2 days there when my daughter was only a toddler. But no, none of them had experienced that before. So to see it from a blank canvas right through to the end, I think it would have been very difficult to be part of pulling it apart after how much went into it. So there was a different crew that went in and did that. But yeah, just great camaraderie with everyone on the Sempkin team, and just seeing what they do. It's just a great experience. So yeah, we've done open gardens before. We've been involved through the old Aldham or LDI. Did a hidden garden festival, and we had a garden open in that, which was very, very interesting. Very good to have 400 people walk through your garden and talk about the process and the difficult access, but then a show garden is so different again. It's a full on 9 days, and we weren't part of the pre-planning. That everyone at Nicole and everyone in the Sempkin crew had put everything into in the lead up. We were just there for the installation and to see it all come together. But yeah, and to see what everyone else did as well. I mean, all those gardens around us. Philip Withers was on the other side of the trees there, and that was intense. They had a lot of people working on that garden. People working well and truly into the night time. So,
did you have any late nights?
We had some early
working.
Yeah, and then late nights, and we only stayed across the road, so we were very lucky we didn't have to travel too far. But as I walked home, I'm not on the tools. I'm stuck behind the computer here. I have been for close to probably 9 or 10 years. So getting back on the tools, that intense, I felt every bit of it. Every step on the walk back home, I felt like I'd celebrated my 100th birthday, and just hobbling back to the motel room.
Yeah, I remember last year after I did ours, I was fine up until the day the show opened, and then the adrenaline stopped, and then my body remembered, you should be in a lot of pain. Now it comes.
Did you have a big crew put that together?
Not a big one. Nah. So we had probably there was 3 of us who were like landscapers. So yeah, for myself, there was me and the 2 qualified landscapers. And we got a school-based apprentice, and that was his first day. Was working there, so it was an interesting first day for him.
Yeah.
And then I had a lot of people helping out. So, I had a fella from Canberra, so Dan from Housemates Gets Plants Delivered. Had Roz, who was more of a horticulturist, and our landscape architect was helping out as well. So, and a few other people, other landscapers popping in for a couple of days, and one of the girls from the nursery who's provided a lot of the plants from Chartwell Nurseries as well. So yeah, a lot of people doing little bits and pieces, but nothing like some of the gardens that have insane amounts of people on there.
Yeah. But no, we had every one of our team members that were there. just had such a great experience. And Peter was awesome to learn from, to see the relationship that him and Marty had, and to make it all come together. Like they've worked together for forever. And they've done 2 show gardens together. So yeah, it was very, because sometimes you go out to a job site and the builder doesn't want to help, the landscaper or there's difficulties on building sites, and it was a good example of how people really should be working together for that same goal.
Yeah. And like Marty's obviously one of the best at doing that, because he has to be that organised all the time, because he's got like 70 something or 80 employees.
Yeah. And everyone that we met from Semken just had open arms for our team. We had dinners together and barbecues, and it was a really good experience.
So you started working on your design for next year?
No, but when the last night that the whole team were all together, I think it was that Friday night, the Gardens at Night exhibition, and they were all, okay, so next year what we do, I'm starting to add up all the costs, and I'm just thinking, hang on, let's just slow down a little bit. But they had it all mapped out. They know which site they wanted. They know what, they were going to ship it all down or truck it all down from Queensland, and they've got it all planned. So
yeah. Apart from the cost, everything else is
the cost. Yeah, it's all sorted.
Yeah. Peter will sponsor you.
Yeah.
So with the when you did move in, going back to when you moved into maintenance, what was the reason behind doing that, or being more maintenance than construction?
We got a call up from our client that we have now, and she said, "Look, I've seen your work. I think you better come and have a chat to us." So I still remember it. It was a rainy day. I think I drove in there. It's like, wow, this is nice, but yeah, I can see where she wants some improvements. And I think we now look after maybe 15 different projects for her on a regular basis. Her and her family, we work for the whole family, and it just allowed us to, there was just more and more demand, and we get other families, start off with one person, and then can you look after my dad's place? Can you look after my sister's place? We seem to have quite a few families that we work for, all with beautiful houses and beautiful gardens, and and it's not just the gardens we look after; it's anything that they want help with around the house. So there's that trust there, and we just hook in and get things done.
And how was it going from quoting for when you're doing construction mainly to doing maintenance? Because I assume it's a lot different quoting for that one compared to the other.
Yeah, so the construction's sort of up and down, and but this is a lot more. For my role now is just scheduling. Scheduling the guys, even though they've got their regular runs. There's just a different aspect to it. I'm very lucky that we can still do construction and still do design, and I've got that team around me who do that. But my landscaper Amanda, she's running everything. She's complete project manager for our landscape works. She'll ring and we'll have a chat about things, or we'll run through the design, but she's very much taking care of all aspects of that. I've got a maintenance manager. He looks after all of our maintenance crew, so we have a catch up with him each week. But yeah, my job is very much just organising and a bit of design. One thing that's helped me is having mentors. They're not business coaches as such, but clients that I look up to and have developed good relationships with. They've actually become good mentors, and like sometimes you think, they're doing the right thing, but they've all experienced the ups and downs as well. And they might have massive businesses, 100+ staff or or more, and they all go through similar things. So and you think, it'd be great to get some insight. And one guy told me, look, my business is totally different to yours, so my advice would be, might not fit for you, but we still good to have ideas. Another good mentor I have has become my best mate. He we started studying design together in Sydney. I obviously moved away, but he had his landscaping business, and we speak to each other probably on a daily basis, if not daily, every second day. And just it's good to have, I back him up when he's needed, he's backed me up, and it's good to bounce ideas off people who have a similar outlook in especially with gardens. So yeah, I don't know. How do you find that? Do you have people that you run ideas past and look up to as mentors as well?
Nah, I'd probably be more successful if I did. So it's probably something I should have done. But yeah, I like to do things my way, and
Yeah,
then someone will give me some advice, and I think, oh yeah, no, that sounds good, but it won't suit me. And then 5 years later, I think I should have done that. That was good advice that I could have taken on back then.
yeah,
But like what you're saying with that fella who's like different industry, so he didn't think his advice would be helpful. There's things like you could talk to another landscaper and they're completely different businesses. So there's
yeah,
there's no point those two talking about what they're doing. But like another business could be talking about just people management. So it doesn't matter what what those people are doing, but just knowing how to talk to them and understanding what people might be going through things. So if someone
yeah,
gives you that advice, then that can be helpful for you to sort of almost like having a break from the industry. It can help you have a break from just thinking that everything is sort of moving one after the other and it's all this way. And you could just have a break and think, oh, maybe you should look at it from a different point of view. And like if your employee is struggling with something, you could understand their point of view more. So that could help. That could be like a circuit breaker for you to do that. So it doesn't matter what industry they're in, they can give you some good advice.
yeah. I think you just got to be a sponge and try and absorb as much from people as possible. I mean, the other good thing is the industry associations. So, Landscape Queensland, AIH, LDI that we're all members of. We always learn something, about our industry and how to do our business better. I still remember doing a Landscape Queensland one many years ago, and it was all about quoting. And I learned a lot there. But one guy spoke up, and he said that every job that he does, there's always one thing extra that he does. It could be changing a broken tap, or just something that is going to help improve that client's perception. And it definitely helps. When you put in everything into the service that you provide.
Yeah, and when you think of how much it would cost to do something like that, like to fix a tap or do something minor, might be $100 at worst. And when you compare that to what people spend on advertising to try and get more work, whereas if you do that small thing, they're then going to tell their friends, and the word of mouth spreads that way.
Yeah, those client relationships are so important. We do come across a lot where people have had a bad experience, and you've got to try and prove that you're different to that other company or their experience in the past. So it is hard to break through. You just got to try and keep your standards high.
And would you, like, I know you'd obviously take on plenty more maintenance folks if they wanted to work for you, but would you take on more landscape construction people, or is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah. No, well, look, we've got a young guy who we thought he'd fit in really well with our maintenance crew, but he's just put his hand up and said he really wants to get into the construction. And he's a great problem solver, and yeah, he'll be joining our construction crew shortly. But yeah, we're always open to anybody who is really passionate about gardens. That's who we want around us. We've got people from botanic gardens backgrounds, nursery backgrounds, people who've landscaper who's run her own business before. She's doing our landscaping. We've had other greenkeepers who've worked on golf courses all around the world, and at a younger age, they probably see some of these biggest stadiums and whatnot as the pinnacle. But then once they do that, then they realise that they can have a big impact, in improving somebody's place around their home. So yeah, we've got a good, mature group of people. We don't have yahoos. We have guys and girls who are very passionate about the industry and what they do.
Yep. And you've got to have those type of people when you're working on the type of projects that you're maintaining as well.
Yeah. We had one girl come to us, lady come to us. So we're sort of 50-50, I guess, male, female. And she came to us with a background in engineering, like naval engineering, and just such a passion for plants. And she contacted us via social media, and we gave her an opportunity. And she just fits in like she's been here for years. Like it's great. She was able to take on project leader role almost straight away, and just loves it. We got some of our team that look after, we've put them through beekeeping courses and looking after clients' beehives, collecting honey for them, growing veggies for them. There's so many different aspects of what we do.
Yeah, do you ever have any events where you get the whole team catching up together?
Yeah, every 2 months we'll get together for a full staff meeting, do some sort of training, whether it's getting a guest speaker in or doing some in-house training. Lately, we've done a irrigation seminar, fertilizer supplier, snake awareness. So we had a snake guy come in and do. We found more and more snakes probably in the last 2 years on sites than we ever had before. So just getting the guys comfortable with, if they see a snake, what to look out for, not to panic and get frustrated for the rest of the day, worried that panic about where the snake's gone. The snake awareness course. We've done a few of them now, and really beneficial.
Yeah, it's something I didn't even think of. Like we saw a snake earlier this year on a project, I didn't see it, but yeah, that's. I suppose when you're doing maintenance, you're going to come across a bit more than when you're doing construction.
Yeah.
So what's coming up in the future for the business? Have you got any? Do you have any goals that you work towards or set?
Yeah, we still want to grow a little bit more. We don't want to grow a lot, but we still want to grow a little bit more so we can take on some new clients who are very patiently waiting there in the background. And I ring them regularly just to keep them updated that they haven't been forgotten, but they're still happy to wait. And so that's something that we want to do. We want to grow a little bit more. We've mostly done residential. I'm not sure whether we tackle that commercial sector. I think it's be very difficult to have, your residential standards and maybe commercial a bit wishy-washy. So yeah, no, we've got some, we'd like to expand a little bit further.
Yep. And last question for you, Ben, is who do you think would be a good guest to have on the podcast?
It's a hard one because there's so many good people in our industry and seeing how the industry has grown over all these years. But one guy I would say would be Matt Lacey from Land Art in Sydney.
Yep.
He's done. So I was in some of his classes at TAFE back in the early days, and it was really good to see him progress through and see where his business is and how he's grown. It's just and there's been a lot of people like that, that we've sort of followed along the years. Guys who I looked up to when I first started. I went to one of the ARH awards. There's some guys there that I still remember when I was filling up those bags of sand, and they come in with their van all plastered with their logo, and they're still in the industry today, doing a great job. So, but yeah, Matt Lacey is one that I've followed, and his career through some of the TV shows as well. It'd be great to hear from him.
All right. Well, I've been looking forward to having this chat, and it was well worth the wait because I wanted to. I spoke to you before you did the garden show, so and wanted to know what the experience was like. So, thank you very much for coming on and sharing your story.
No worries. I hope if you're ever up in Queensland, you come and look us up and have a catch up.
Well, I hope I'm up in Queensland more often than not.
Thanks, Joel.